Elephant Pictures presents The Integral Principles of the Structural Dynamics of Flow by L.G. Claret. Written by Stephen Conrad.
Yeah, I know there's ways to go all through Indiana, man, and all this snow, yeah.
The Integral Principles of the Structural Dynamics of Flow by L.G. Claret, revised 9th edition. Forward. Welcome, friend of tensile stability engineering. Often we are left to find the horizon, as it were, without a lighthouse, lamp, or a lantern, right? Hey, forces operate on all collections of matter, degrading their elemental strength and their structural integrity. You are a collection of matter, as is your collection of, say, classic Schmidt beer cans. And one day, you will board your flight early because you, in fact, need that extra time. And one day your collection of, say, classic Schmidt beer cans simply calcifies into a uniform, off-yellow, unpleasant to the eye. As we speak, all we know is being worked on by forces that make us, and all else, less stable and less strong, pulling down what we want standing and separating what is meant to hold together. These forces include many that simply aren't discernible. Atomic decay, hyperphysical separation, cross-stanting, to name a few. And we wander among them, to and fro, unable to spot our surrounding fault lines, fractures, and instabilities that, unbeknownst, grow greater until they have their day and do us critical harm. May I guide you to a more pronounced sense of our shared structural world? You know what's a nice word? Ordinarily, unless there's been, say, abuse or extraordinary parental neglect. Home. Hey, maybe home means that there at home you know which floorboard creaks. You get how to work that fussy toilet handle, and you can tell the time within minutes just by reading the morning light outside your bedroom window. Hey, is that what makes home home? It's my hope to guide you through the following 15 chapters to a place where you are simply more at home in our shared world, with relative specificity to the field application of surface and suppressed surface delivery engineering. Hey, chapter index. 1. Flute jousts. 2. Torp, nobbings, and deluxe nobbings. 3. My Cub Scout years vis-a-vis Hatchler Tamp Glampling. 4. Summit dwelling. 5. Crux swelling, or else. 6. My first marriage. Creating and maintaining the illusion of stability. 7. Jerry jousts? When? The answer may surprise you. 8. Advanced summit dwelling. 9. Plate taunch and taunch whelm with confidence. 10. Larmler topping, the look ma no hand syndrome. 11. A guide to compressed haunch flats, stamped K-light haunch flats, and general full field system flatting. 12. The claret. 13. Weathering your structural storm and thoughts on why sometimes I feel paralyzing remorse. 14. My old man. An argument for suppression beaming. 15. So long, old friend.
Chapter 1. Flute joust.
My father, Dan Claret, was an alcoholic, and so was Mom, June Claret. So, yes, I made a million little wishes. And I have lived with tension like it was my twin. Tension. Will Dan show for my Pony League baseball regionals? Will Dan tonight, with zero provocation, punch me in the throat? Here's the real SOB about growing up this way. Even when there is calm, there is still tension. Lesson 1, regarding flute joust plate torque and formal torque lamb toppling.
1. Structures exist in the little Leslie.
Mornings at home were no biggie. Normal house, inside out. Dan's whistling at the sink, having a shave. June's maybe only just sipping at the sherry here, working up a turkey or some such for that day's dinner. I'm having a breakfast. Was there calm? No. Calm before a storm you know is coming is simply not calm. It is simply some other thing. Maybe there ought to be a term for this, for the calm before a storm you know is coming. Maybe let's call it the little Leslie. When you're in the little Leslie, you're just sitting there at the kitchen table, sharing, say, a lunch with your parents. There's not much going on, just sitting there. Kid, just sitting there. But are you? Under that table, that leg's going up and down, that fancy right leg, up and down. Maybe you're chewing on the inside of your own mouth, and maybe you can't even taste your effing food. Even the good stuff, like, say, BLT or various sorts of pies. Maybe you feel like your stomach is just a thing that exists to be tied into a knot, like a dock line on a tugger. There are actually 3 types of maritime dock lines, by the way. They are 1, the 3-strand, 2, the braided nylon, 3, the double-braided nylon. Dan Claret was a tugboat captain and the son of one. Dan ran a tight ship. Nothing wrong with that. Flat out, hey. There is, though, most would argue, something wrong with forcing your teenage son to dry the tugboat's crosshatches with his hair because he left the towels in the garage. More about my hair later. For now, bear in mind that structures exist in the little Leslie.
1A. The myth of the weight-bearing jerry joust relative to a father's love.
However calm their surroundings seem, structures are always being worked on by tension. Therefore, don't hesitate to platform your haunch knobs and field-strapping K-girdle gratch stacks when joust planning. Just platform the H out of them, all the way to the trebles. Seriously. It'll cost a little more, but how much would you pay for a good night's sleep? I'd pay like $40, something like that. Because, well, it's worth it. And some things are worth what you pay. About my hair.
1B. My hair.
My father would often, I mean very often, as if it were his hobby, cast an unfavorable glance my way, allow derision to work into his expression, then say, "I don't like the way you have your hair like that. What are you doing there with that hair that way?" Consistently this was, through my vulnerable teens and then into those less tender early 20s. Now listen, I didn't have hair to my shoulders, no. My hair was neither long nor longish. Hey, I just had normal damn hair. One wouldn't think twice about my hair were one someone other than Dan Claret. "I don't like the way you're wearing your hair there like that," Dan would say. Like what, I would think. Normal damn hair length. Separated in normal hair partings. What the H are you talking about? It would be as if Dan would stare at you with disdain and say, "I don't like the way you have those two eyes there like that." Or, "What are you doing over there, having those wrists there right before your hands start?" Or some such. And you're bewildered over what his issue is. And you think, and you think, and you'd stand there, and then you realize this man simply doesn't like me. For some reason. For some reason, I don't know, I bother him. For some reason, I don't know. And you think about it, and, well, you still do think about it.
They look so pretty, man. The bar's on my way home. Especially when it's snowing. The bar's on my way home. It's dark here at 4:30, man, and I watch the lights come on. And I look in through the windows to the bars on my way home. I wonder what am I trying to shine? I wonder what am I trying to shine? Chicago makes the music, man, of the bars on my way home. And I've lived and lived without it, man, the bars on my way home. Along the ringing of the calling, along the shining of the snow, along the humming of the singing of the bars on my way home. I wonder what am I trying to shine? I wonder what am I trying to shine?
Don't make assumptions about the role a field implement is capable of playing in your field bevy. Your joust, though it can bear weight, isn't weight-bearing. How's that, you say? Fathers can love their children. Most fathers do. All do not. Jousts can bear bevy weight. Most jousts do. All do not. Dan Claret was a father in the sense that he fathered me, in the important sense that he put that roof over this head, and there were meals provided. And he would tell you that was love, though it's not. Jerry jousts are jousts in the sense that they pre-hatch line and clamp fasten flue-splacked and flue-granulated flagstacks. In the important sense, they post-pack and V-pack crackled and uncrackled cam-troused trams and tramless trim-line vaunted T-taps. They do gorf the crescent swath. And importantly, they provide crim. And a jerry joust might tell you this means it's bearing the weight the whole time. But a jerry joust can bear the weight of each of its tasks without bearing the weight of their sum total, which is what weight-bearing is, kid. The way a father can bear the weight of each of his tasks without being able to bear the weight of their sum total, without being able to bear the full weight of his shared life, which is maybe what the practice of love is. So even though he was certainly a father, you never really knew where Dan stood, love-wise. And even though a jerry joust is certainly a joust, you never really know where it stands, weight-bearing-wise. With the exception of the flute joust, Hey, you always know where a flute joust stands. Flat out. Flute jousts. The creme de la creme of bantling jousts. That's French. It means the cream of the cream, which doesn't, in and of itself, mean very much, I guess. You'd have to have cream context for that to mean anything, and cream is, for whatever reason, sort of an unpleasant word. Cream. I don't know. It just is. Cream. I don't know. So I'm going to try to limit its use here. Let's just say that in the French cream world, there is a cream that asserts itself as superior cream to the other cream. French cream teams would work the cream in cream casts and long barn cream quadrants. The cream leader, probably the son of creamers, would cream under the guidance of the cream master, himself probably once a schoolboy cream champ, or at least a kid creamer or junior creamer from the French summer cream camps. A cream is hand-stirred here until a segment of this cream separates from the subordinate layer of cream attributable to less density of butter weight. This cream has cream qualities understood to be pure cream due to the limit of butter weight in its cream composition and becomes known as the cream of the cream, or creme de la creme. Flute jousts are this in the bantling joust family. They are pure joust, the only joust bracket platform that will allow you a good night's sleep is the flute joust. Pure joust. Bracket with flutes, rest easy. Dream kid dreams about flying, not grown-up dreams about your teeth falling out or about taking part in a murder or something. Flute jousts. Hey, the creme de la creme.
1D. A good night's sleep and the impermanence.
Loneliness comes and goes, blessedly. Blessed in the sense that it's itinerant and isn't always upon us. Comes and goes. Have you wondered, though, when you first may have felt it?
1DI. The first loneliness.
Loneliness is absence. The absence of some feature of existence one is longing for. Most likely something once felt, then felt no longer, then missed, then longed for. Loneliness. Hey. A word about my mom.
2. My mom. An argument for full fluting.
My dad was a D, even when he wasn't drunk yet. Dan had 2 elemental phasings. 1, not drunk yet Dan. 2, drunk Dan.
2AI. Not drunk yet, Dan.
A typical father-son talk with not drunk yet Dan.
Can I be called Tony now?
You have a name, son.
A girl's name?
Why don't you just go by your middle name?
Because it's Gail.
Let's stick with Leslie. I don't want to have to learn and remember a whole new name.
Dan used to leave little pieces of things on the floor. Say the cap of a pen or some such. Apple stem. You get it. Then he would obscure himself nearby to witness whether, walking past, you'd pick it up. If you saw this item and did not pick this item up from the floor, Dan would step forward from his obscured space and call you lazy. If you did not see this item and continued past it without picking this item up, Dan would step forward from his obscured space and call you lazy. You would then say, I did not see it. And Dan would not believe you.
2AII. Do not fear.
Okay, folks who freak when they cross a bridge are G-phobiacs. My little brother Wheeler was a G-phobe. He'd seize my hand so sharply on crossings, he'd leave little red impressions along my hands and wrist. I called them bridge marks. G-phobes don't fear nuts. Neither do they bolts, nor qualms, nor squall crats, barms, or tum buttresses. They're afraid of me and you. G-phobes believe the human animal can't affix nuts to bolts on welded qualms across a field of crats, suspended by barms, then buttressed by tums. They fear the systems we create. They simply fear that it can't all hold together. The fact that it might confounds them, and that causes fear, and that causes bridge marks. The symbiotic functionality of the bridge system is a mystery to the Wheelers of the world, and they fear, as we all do, what they don't understand. Little Wheeler, beautiful kid. I miss him so. He boarded a hot air balloon at Albuquerque's Balloon Fest, and we never saw him again. I remember watching him decrease in size, floating farther into the sharp blue sky. Not really smaller, but to my eyes smaller. Wheeler. Smaller until it seemed he'd disappeared. Then he did. And I'd give anything right about now for some fresh bridge marks. It's surmised that he landed in the field with some twisted farmer, and his last days were filled with terror, confusion, and pain. There's your mystery. It adds up that a landy, tum, in tandem with a crat can bear qualm weight. But who could hurt a kid? Doesn't add up, right? Or I don't know. Maybe he landed safely and joined the circus. Maybe he's breathing fire somewhere. Like I said, our dad was a real D. Maybe sometimes I wish Wheeler took me with him. Into the sky together. Getting smaller together. Landing together. Joining circus together. Breathing fire together. I don't know. Back to the first loneliness. Hey.
Morning's drawing nearer. Winnings drifting towards the dealer. And I'm trying to remember if I ever even told you where I am. And I guess I'm walking back there in the rain. And I am completely fucking unprepared for what's about to happen. Walking into the dawning of your brand new morning. And I am completely unprepared for what's about to happen. I can't find my keys, man. though I know I had them. And the last time I remember, you said never, ever again. Now I have to wake you up to let me in. And I am completely fucking unprepared for what's about to happen. Walking into the dawning of your brand new morning, and I am completely unprepared for what's about to happen. Around the block till I stop crying and walk up to our old white door. I start knocking, and I am completely unprepared for what's about to happen. What's about to happen?
I have a girl's name. Okay, it's a little storm to weather. We're all doing it all the time. You may have bronchitis. I have a girl's name. No biggie. Maybe you're a woman named Jeff. I don't know. But I know for certain that you endure, as do we all, states of unrest, and I commend you for the weathering of it. Way to go. But hey, eyes open for the Viking lull.
2AIIB, the weathering of your various storms and the Viking lull.
History buff here. Flat out. Vikings. Magellan. Pangea. You get it. Lots to learn here. Vikings would trade inferior armaments to new friends around the hemisphere, lull them into a sense of complacency, and then return years later with real shields and swords and such, and just maraud the S out of everyone. Picture a Gaelic shepherd or ancient oral history performer or what have you. He's just walking along the glen on some golden early morning, his weak knife purchased from a new Viking friend he met 3 years ago in his side sheath here. He believes he's armed and ready for what may await. Though he's not. He's weak-knifed and doesn't know it. This is the Viking lull. Now here on the glen, real Vikings come over the golden morning crest. This guy's papier-mâché knife fragmatizes upon contact, leaving the young man to go, "Oh, what the H?" and leaving those as his last words before his death or enslavement. Once he walked his glen with calm and assuredness. All the while he was, in fact, though he didn't know this, grossly unready for a likely and critical eventuality.
2AIIB-AB, my sister Trish, and what's your 20?
What's your 20? I was a ham radio enthusiast. CB kid, too. My handle was Dreamweaver. And let me tell you, after all the breaker BS, you get to the heart of the matter on the CB. You ask your correspondent, be he Black Stan, Granddad 67, Kentucky Gwen, no matter. After the breaker, you just get to it and you ask, hey, what's your 20? What's your 20 means, what's your location? It means, where are you coming from? And when it comes to corresponding, when it comes to getting to know each other, when it comes to getting along, well, we all deserve to know that. And if you don't know your 20, kid, if you don't know where you're coming from, hey, get it figured out. My sister Trisha's 20. There will, if you're fortunate. There will be a correspondent in your life that will allow you to write your own sense of what love is. To write it from your mind to your heart, so you'll know it. So for the rest of what you have left, you'll know love because of, fill in the blank if you're one of the lucky ones. Trish is this to me. I know love, and she's the blank in the because of. She's been gone for a while now, Trish. We travel the world at Galvanize United, and I see her here and there. In Nashville, well, I see her in the cymbals and the drum kits of the honky-tonks. Out northways, I see Trish's face in the Oslo fjords and in the remains of glaciers. Trish. I lost a goddamn little bouncing ball once. They'd bounce and bounce, these tight effers. They defied physics, or at least a boy's sense of physics. These tight bouncers, little fuckers. You'd throw them down on the driveway and they'd bounce to Seattle. God damn. I lost one out in the driveway, bounced out into the dark woods beyond the garage. Dan was effing PO'd. Just effing PO'd. He said they cost $3, though I'm sure that was an exaggeration, or at least Dan was rounding up. Anyway, he was going to wail on me with the half-pool cue, the heavy half that he kept garage-wise, Dan. And he met me there, Dan. He asked me to be there at 10 p.m., Dan. There I was, trembling. He asked me, hey, lower those. He meant my trousers, Dan. You had to. I did. And then he hit me back upper thighs for constantly losing things. Though I don't remember losing anything previous to the tight bouncer. Then he hit me again. Then Trish ran into the garage, the tight bouncer in her hand, yelling, "Stop it!" My sister's yelling, "Stop it!" to my dad. Dan stops, sees the tight little bouncer, mutters something, and then leaves. Then Trish left, which allowed me to pull my pants back up and back on in private. Trish had gone into the woods beyond our small house after dark and found the tight bouncer so Dan would stop. Went into the woods. Went into the dark woods alone at 14 and found something missing. That sounds like something a dad ought to do. I love you, Trish.
Walking with the horses, carrying my curses. Find sort of foxtails all the way to Iron Town.
So, back to the first loneliness and Sister Trisha's 20. Next time. Breaker, breaker. Catch you later. Dreamweaver signing out for now. Till then, dream kid dreams. And keep the shining side up, right? Hey.
Away to Irontown, where she's found, laying on a swan wing, laying on a swan wing, laying on a swan wing beneath the ground.
Thank you for joining Elephant Pictures for the first reading of the Integral Principles of the Structural Dynamics of Flow. The series is created by Stephen Conrad. Heartfelt thanks to Kurtwood Smith for resuming the role of Leslie Claret, and to our Patriot and Perpetual Grace Ltd family for lending their voices.
Thank you, Michael Dorman, Terry the Beautiful Man O'Quinn, Kathleen Monroe, and Dash Williams.
Our series is produced by Stephen Hoy and Peter Moxley.
Original songs are performed and recorded by the Jones Sisters, with original score provided by Jim Becker
and Stephen Conrad. For information on our accompanying music, please visit thejonessistersmusic.com.
I'm Julian Richings. Please join us all again next time for further readings. And join us also for our series Patriot on Amazon Prime and Perpetual Grace Ltd on Epix.
Nothing too much happened, just some shucking and jiving, but I haven't forgotten. The day I met a lion's den, yeah, that adult superstore. Tucking away and forgetting myself in someone. The day I met a lion's den, yeah, that adult superstore. Sharing a drink and saying it's okay to be grown up, man. Sometimes
Chapter 1. Flute Jousts. Continued. Hey, did you ever wish someone from the future would come to you when you're younger and pass along something of importance? Well, that won't happen. And God's a story. Your hearth, if you have one, however, is here. Here with you just now, if you care to have one. Unlike a future man or God who never will be with you here. And a hearth, well, it's also a wonderful thing. But a hearth must be built well, in fact, if it is to work well, and maintained well. In fact, if it is to work well, it is meant to keep you warm. And the hearth does this by a means. The means of a hearth. The hearth, of the stone-lined kind, for the purpose of warming a home, transmits heat from a centered fire, which is then vented by roof lanterns. A hearth does not burn. A hearth holds and shares warmth. And to do this well, it must be built by a means to hold and share warmth, must be built for this purpose. Our own lives might be as well, might be built for this use, to hold and share warmth, if we're wise. And it makes sense then that our lives must be built by a means to do this. And this means is not, say, cocaine. I've asked myself, hey, how does a guy go from a wide range of sustenance to just cocaine? Little ones crave cartoons, crave Cracker Jacks and snacks such as that. Teens, like their sports, choose a team to cheer on, follow stats and what have you. Young adults get busy making homes, maybe starting with a dog named Wrigley or some such. Work through Wrigley's basic training together, both of you learning under what terms and how you're going to share a life. You work through it. Then you're doing it, flat out, all that. Then one day you're just doing coke. Just coke. I don't know. Just coke. I mean, that's the only thing you're doing with all your heart. You're doing other things, yeah, you're tying your shoes, you're small talking at the bar, quietly singing some of the Star-Spangled Banner or whatever at the ball game. Yeah, I don't know. You get it. But while you're doing all that jazz, you're thinking coke. Flat out. In this, the integral principles of the structural dynamics of flow, revised 9th edition, will face facts. Hey, time is a heavy mother. She's the revelator, and she'll introduce you to your hard, personal truths. For instance, I am apparently capable of, over an extended period, placing private good times with cocaine over, say, hearing how college is going for my half-Vietnamese son over a quiet meal in Evanston, Illinois, my son's college town, and just down the road from Milwaukee where I live, though I have never visited. I'm apparently capable of volunteering to assistant coach my daughter's lacrosse team, though I have no familiarity with that sport or recollection of having volunteered. Then, no showing all season long due to consistent binging. I'm also capable of not recalling, but also apparently creating and then distributing an equipment list, which was, contrary to my promises, the extent of my involvement there with her and lacrosse, and, it's my understanding from this later vantage point, did not include any actual lacrosse equipment. I'm apparently capable of rescuing a cat from an animal shelter, then complaining the next day, "Why is there a cat in this house?" Saying such things to loved ones as, "Why is there a goddamn cat in this house? Hey, Compulsions and inclinations such as these create for those around me, those in my family orbit or professional milieu, states of uncertainty due simply to the impermanence of my energy. And well, this has got a lot to do with trust, which, well, that has got quite a lot to do with one's happiness and peace. And well, after safety and justice, what's more important? So let's dig a little deeper here, all right? Our shifting characteristics and the impermanence. During an extended period, family members, colleagues, and staff were subject to the shifting characteristics of my energy. Expecting an even keel or calm hand on the wheel, wishing for it, I imagine, as I was father or leader in those circumstances, they might find instead absent-mindedness, volatility, indiscretion, a short temper, immediate and spastic defensiveness, boisterousness, a mocking tone, etc. The effect. It simply didn't matter for what period of time I kept an even keel, or for how long I managed a calm hand on the wheel here, family-wise or at Galvanized United. And there were long periods where it's fair to say I did this. But there wasn't an entirety. There wasn't an entirety during which my energy was permanently so. I would snap. At some point I'd flip. I would freak. Now and then I'd trip. Here and there I'd drift, bitch, piss and moan. I'd hit just way below the effing belt. Well, quite often, hey. So my energy existed as father and leader in the impermanence. My energy had shifting characteristics. And this is a challenging atmosphere for engineers, children and spouses. Count on me. Count on the impermanence of calm, of discretion, dependability, affability, reasonability, of staying more or less PG. You get it. I am a structure. I was built by my troubled father and mother without the means of a hearth, without the single purpose to hold and share warmth. I was built, it seems on reflection, to tremble, and tremble I do, here and there, now and then. I was built by this means. I tremble. I am impermanent. And so are your structures, kid. So together, let's deal with the impermanence. We'll see it coming. We'll be prepared. We're not walking around some glen all weak-knifed. We're in the claret, kid. We're ready, and we're ready to conceptualize, conceive, design, produce, and implement a tensile field delivery structure that keeps on showing up during the sustained challenge of living in the impermanence. A structure that was built by a means to exist in an entirety. You just have to listen to and then do everything I say.
3. Building a company. My mother June and the self-portrait in the spoon.
Here you go. Galvanized United. The early years. Team of 3. That's all. Flying to and fro, lowballing to and fro, burning the candle to and fro, coming in on T and under B. Building something. Supply lines and building something. A reputation. Making something. Coordinated transfer trim tunnel systems and making something. A name. Galvanized United. The company I founded at 24. When other guys my age were easy riding, say, or playing with that frisbee. Galvanized United. We flew so often, my mother June one Thanksgiving mistook the name of some frequent flyer program or other, and well, June asked me if I had that year joined the Mile High Club. In a PG way, I let June in on her mistake, and well, we all had good laughs. I remember something else about that evening. June and I broke the wishbone, and I remember wishing she'd get it. Wishing that there were such things as wishes that might be awarded those like June, who hungered, it seemed, only for the happiness of her family. Also, that Thanksgiving night is clouded by a half-remembrance that I later drank rather a lot and then bragged that I was actually in the Mile High Club. So, right there, in front of June and my kids, loud-mouthing it, rated R, right there, at the family table. Sometimes I think I was really the guy on the dessert spoon, you know? You hold a spoon up, you see yourself there, and you're small and you're upside down. Me, sometimes. Then, Spoon Man.
3A. Don't be a spoon man.
Don't be a spoon man. Before you make a decision in our profession and in your personal life, ask quietly, is this big of me? Is this right side up? If you hear yourself say no, take a different position. Ask again until your more honest voice says yes. Then structural design like hell. Then the next time you look in a spoon, you'll just smile and say, hey, look at that. That's funny. Rather than, as in my case, begin a crying jag right there in front of the fam.
3B. Molecular clenching. Time the heavy mother, time the heavy father, and young Kurt's clarinet.
Hey, time will make you, like a mother, into you. Time will make you greater. From boyhood to grown man, say, you'll become greater in strength, in self-sufficiency, and inward, you'll become more greatly connected to your own spirituality, say. You will find your great people and your great art, your music and favorite comedian or comedian. Reservoirs of patience come with time, and your senses of humor are honed by it. But time will, like a father, lessen you as well, will instill insecurities and degrade you. Hey.
3C. Senses of humor.
One has, rather than a sense of humor, senses of humor. You never hear anyone say, hey, that Greg, he has good senses of humor, but indeed this is so. I say this about associates. That Greg, he has good senses of humor, or that Jill, she has good senses of humor. I say it, and it tweaks the listener as, to the ear, it's uncomfortable. The extra S that takes you in that sentence from sense to senses, because it's an addition to something you expected to be finished. Yet, there it is. Slapstick, humorous to the eye. Wit, humorous to the mind. Whoopee cushion-based pranks, humorous to the ear. Senses. Now, around the office, when I say to associates, hey, that Greg, he has good senses of humor, or that Jill, she has good senses of humor, I'm addressing an important totality that otherwise wouldn't be on the table. Your obligation as a structural engineer is to put it all on the table. And if your field design or your field implementation aren't complete, if, say, your chaff stack lacks a final and necessary Linderman lacquer, even if the greater world expected the work to be finished, you take your damn time. Put it on the table. Tell them you got work left to do. Say you need to Linderman again. Then get it finished. Because time is a heavy father. Time turns cracks into chasms, and over time, your rush job will show itself. If your champs are inadequately Lindermaned, they will crack over time. They will. Then the stacks will collapse over time. They will. And if there is collapse due to your rush job, well then, hell, all the time you took collectively was simply time terribly spent. So, rather, use time to finish your work well and completely. Respect time and allow your superiors their frustration over the duration the work is taking. Okay, hey, that's their time you're taking, and you're making an addition to something that was expected to be finished. This is awkward and tweaky, but put it on the table. Get it right. Take the time it takes, but respectfully convey that this is what you're accomplishing. They might even get it and try to share the news with some mixed-in moments of appropriate levity. It's my experience that most people have good senses of humor. But respect time in all the important senses of what that could mean. And remember, time is a heavy mother and father. And like a mother, time will grant you gifts and will allow for nurture. But time will also work as a father does on your inherent weaknesses with dispassion and sometimes awful influence. Hey.
Mountainside is high and the valley's long and wide. And I'll say please and thank you if you got my long way over and walk the stones together. I'll say please and thank you, brother, please. I could find a shelter in the kindness of a nature that led me to the water, man. Help me to my home. If you'll be the mother in the quiet of each other, I will be the mother down the road. The coat I use for covers, and I'm keeping out the water. The coat that's always with us all this wind. And I long to walk beside you, follow them to guide you, to lead you then to thank you for your soft hands. And I could find a shelter in the kindness of nature that led me to the water and held me to my home. And if you'll be the mother in the quiet of each other, I will be the mother down the road. Later when I'm better, I'll remember you were gentle. I'll recall how you wouldn't smile on that song. As we walked along the water, I remember that I followed the shape of your long shadow to my home.
A personal story. Childhood goal. Guinness World Record. For something. Whatever. I didn't care. But man, I wanted in there. A catalog of my ages 9 through 14 attempts to break established world records. Continuous physical rolling. Most claps in a minute. Most tennis balls held in one hand. Consecutive trampoline bounce hours. Highest mohawk. Largest collection of cow-related items. Largest pitcher of sangria. You get it. Some teens wail on Dad's tennis racket there in the mirror.